All right, so we should get started. Tonight, so this is in chat, right? My weekly show about, hey, what's going on? What weird, wacky things do I want to talk about? But tonight, we're trying something different. I'm doing something I've never done before that I would like to say I've had in the working on in the background for a while now, and that's technically true, but it was mostly just conceptual until like this week. So we're gonna do something different tonight, right? I've labeled this as just chatting instead of our usual sploon, and we will do some sploon later. But tonight we're doing something different. All right, I gotta try something out. So yeah, so I might as well just intro. We've got two topics tonight: the Minecraft mob vote, which is the one I am interested in talking about, and we're going to talk about 3DS and Wii U because we got some information about those, and we'll get into WIBE. But for this Minecraft mob vote, I want to do things a little different. So let's. Oh gosh, I'm actually kind of scared. Is that weird? Let's switch over. Hey, look at that. So this is something brand new I'm trying out. I have never done something like this before, but I know stuff like this is really popular right now. Now, I'll admit this is just a test. I don't know if this works. I don't know how well this is working, but we've got to start somewhere. And this is where I'm choosing to start. Right? So, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we've got to start somewhere. So, yeah. I'm trying to... Okay, I don't want that. I'm trying to figure out something. So this is right, me talking, it's very sensitive, as you can kind of tell. I'm still trying to figure it out. This is something I've never done before. I really have to mess around with the flickers, where it like detects my voice level, because I don't want it to be too low, but I also want it to be, maybe a little higher than what it is at right now. I don't even know what it is at right now. What is it at? I mean, I can probably lower that a little bit. I don't know. This is just a test for today, but it's something we will figure out. But yeah, the flicker is a little weird, and I know I could fix the flicker. I don't know. I don't know. I like the motion, right? The bouncing up and down. I think it animates it, right? Like someone once said that when you're animating someone moving, right, you don't just have them move to where exactly they want to be. No, you have them go a little farther and then go back to where you want them to be. So that's kind of how I'm treating this. But it kind of, because of how this thing works, it kind of feels very jarring as it bounces up and down. I honestly, in concept, it's like, yeah, this looks great. But with how kind of finicky some of this stuff is, I don't know. Okay, what about that? Does that... I mean, it's a little better. It's not shaking. There's still a little bit of shakiness because it's not perfect, but that's a little better at least. I do like the idea of the little bob, though. I think that looks nice. But what else am I supposed to do? So, let's talk about the mob vote, shall we? So, we have... I didn't even figure out what the other thing I wanted to do. Oh. Okay, that's better. So, we've got the mob vote stuff, and I want to watch each... So, I've got a bunch of tabs open up, and we're going to be checking out each of these. But for now, let's just start off with the actual mobs themselves.
Look, there's something on that beach over there.
Hopefully this isn't too loud.
Mob?
Maybe it can help us get unlost.
We're not lost. We're following my super secret shortcut.
So yeah, you know, every year, Jens, Agnes, and
Tiny Vu has found
the other guy,
one of the new
Vu?
mobs that wants to join Minecraft.
So we have the first new mob here, the crab.
Like this one.
I'll be honest, I love crabs. Like, just off the crab alone,
Yes, because
I would vote for this.
allow players to place blocks further away.
But then you hear what it does. It allows you to place blocks from farther away. That's amazing. Like, I was already going to vote for the crab. Now I really want to vote for the crab. I think that's fantastic. So, yeah, that's great. I think the crab looks great. I like that they didn't do a traditional red crab. You know, they did something a little different. I think that's more interesting. So, yeah. We got the next one here.
Sure, this is a shortcut to Minecraft Live.
Absolutely. I'll prove it. Huh? Oh.
So we got an armadillo.
This is the Armadillo,
I think it looks cute.
One of the mobs that wants to join Minecraft. It lives in warm places, like this savanna biome. The armadillo drops scute, which can be used to craft armor for your wolf.
That's...
This will give your favorite
That's
wolf
wild.
friend some extra
I...
defense against hostile
For
wolves.
as long as wolves have been in the
I
game,
am not lost.
people have
But do you know
wanted
the way
wolf
to
armor.
Minecraft Live?
So this is something people have wanted for a long time now. So it's cool to see it coming into the game. But now this leaves the predicament of you vote for the crab, you get a block range extender, or you vote for the armadillo and get wolf armor. And whichever one you don't vote for, well, guess what? That feature is now gone forever, potentially. There are some people who are like, no, that feature's not gone forever. They might bring it back later. It's possible, but so far, we don't really have much proof of that. I know there's a thing with frogs, where, like, frogs were originally not, right, were voted down in one of the previous votes, right, in the biome vote. They voted down frogs, and we still did get frogs. But admittedly, at the time the frog thing happened, they had said that whichever biome we voted for makes it into the game first, and then they were still going to do the others. Whereas with the mob vote, they haven't said anything different. As far as we know, whichever one we don't vote for, well, yeah, so sad, so bad, you know. Like, we don't know. You know, maybe things are different, but as far as I can tell, they aren't. Right? Because, like, what was the other thing? Meerkats and Termite Hills? That hasn't, you know, worse. That was probably 3 or 4 years ago now. Nothing's changed there. Yeah, sure, we got frogs. But it took a while. And then here's the third one.
You coming back? We better get going because I'm not missing the mob vote. Let's just hope the new mobs aren't hostile. What was that? Wait, those are penguins. Look,
Part of me is kind of surprised they didn't go for, like, the more cartoony, like, Adventure Time style penguins, but instead they went for this, like, you know, more realistic penguins. But I think that's more interesting in theory.
Penguins are a bit clumsy on land, but they are
Now,
elegant
penguins
on
are a
land.
great addition. I know there are people
Penguins
who
can
have
also help
wanted
your boat
penguins
travel faster,
forever now.
which I could definitely use right
People
now.
have wanted
Excuse
penguins.
me, penguins. Do you think you could help me get to Minecraft Live in time
Now,
for the
their
mob
special
vote?
feature, as we'll
You
see
want the
here,
Penguin to join Minecraft. Voting opens on October
it
13th
increases
at
their
1
speed.
p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Right,
You'll
the
have
penguin-
48 hours to cast your
the penguin, when you're in a... It basically is Dolphin Grace, but for boats. And, you know, that's okay. Definitely out of these three mobs, the penguin is the weakest. I feel like having a Dolphin's Grace just isn't really that... Like, Dolphin's Grace for boats. You know, if it works with ice, that might be very cool. you might be able to get in some insanely fast boats. But I feel like of the three, Wolf Armor, Dolphin's Grace for boats, and Range Extender, Penguins are the least useful. Now, of the fan polls I have seen between these three mobs, right, the Crab, the Armadillo, and the Penguin, most people are voting for the Crab. The Crab is winning with like 40%, the Armadillo's got like 30%, and the Penguin just takes whatever's left. That tends to be the polls I have seen. And I've only seen like 3 or 4, but that is interesting. So, yeah, my take is I'm definitely all aboard the Crab, right? That has not changed. I think Wolf Armor is interesting, because that is something people really want. And penguins just look cute. You know, penguins are cute. I get the appeal of penguins, right? That makes sense to me. But I definitely think Crab is the most interesting. So, of course, immediately once this happened, everybody started freaking out. The general consensus seems to be that people are pretty mad about the mob vote. More so, not with the fact that with the fact that it exists, but not that the mobs are bad. Like, I remember last year's mob vote, a lot of people were disappointed because the mobs sucked. I mean, the Sniffer, the other two that I don't remember. Was there was Tough Golem last year? Whatever they were, people did not care for the mobs last year. And nobody gives a shit about the Sniffer. They're very rare. They don't do that much. And they're very rare, right? Like, I have found one Sniffer in my entire time playing Minecraft, and that was just to get the achievement. If I wasn't actively looking for it, I don't think I would have ever found it. Because, yeah, they are kind of rare. Like, I've went through an entire warm ocean biome, or whatever they spawn in. It was the correct biome. I can't remember which one it was. I found a single one. A single stupid Sniffer in, like, 10 temples. So they're just too rare, in my opinion. Sniffers kind of suck. I wish they were more common. Because I think they are interesting, right? I like the plants they give. But they're just very forgettable. The most memorable thing about them is their weird little, like, nose animation in the name The Sniffer. But no, I've seen a lot of people mad about this vote, mainly because if, right, one of these two win, then the other one's features is probably going to go away forever. Again, potentially yes, potentially no. It's really complicated, right? I want the Crab just based on aesthetics, but its power looks amazing. And people have wanted Wolf Armor since the game's launch, right? Since wolves were added in, I think, beta 1.4? I'm gonna guess beta 1.4. That sounds right in my head, but I could be totally wrong about that. Oops. So yeah, that's always been something that people have wanted. So that's kind of a big deal. Now, so because of all these negative reactions, people saying that they should just end the mob vote and give us all three. And you know, that'd be an awesome twist, right? If Mojang came out and was like, you know what, we're just going to give you all three mobs. Even if they gave us like, hey, guess what? The Penguin is just a reskinned version of the Dolphin, right? It works exactly like the Dolphin, but it's found in stony cliffs and ocean biomes. I would actually be more interested in that. And right, just like, kind of like an Echo Fighter in Smash Bros. You know, Sakurai talks about how Echo Fighters are a lot easier to make. If they did that, but turned the Dolphin into a Penguin and made it spawn in different biomes, I'd have no problem with that. If they do it, if the Armadillo wins, I would love to see, because you remember how Cats got a revamp a few years ago? Where they completely redid Cats, and right, they kind of made the Ocelot completely useless in the process. I would love to see them update Wolves. Because wolves kind of suck, right? Well, I've got this over here. We'll look at this a little later. Better than wolves. But wolves kind of suck. We all know it. I know people can find success if they make like 20 wolves, like an army. But for the most part, wolves suck. And then I still just think Crab is great. I'd love to see more colors. Crab and Parrot Rave would be awesome. But we'll see how that actually turns out. So, right, from the reaction to this and people just being so fucking disappointed. You know what? I was going to say, I look at the comments. I don't trust Twitter. There is some fucking heinous stuff on Twitter nowadays. We'll definitely get like some sort of like porn bot or something. So let's not even look at that. So people were negative, so of course some people responded. So the first response I saw came from, right, this Wither King, right? Pixel artist, writer, low poly modeler, Minecraft nerd, LGBTQ+. So this was the first post I saw about people, like, right, talking about the mob vote. So I'm going to read this whole thread, and I've got a few more threads we're going to look at after this. So I'm hearing a lot of blatant misinformation about the mob vote, or how they work, etc. Let's start off with a very common claim. Modders can do more in less time. I can tell you this, yes, they can. But is that always a good thing? I work with modders. I am part of a mod team. I can tell you that it's horribly difficult to make something feel vanilla, look vanilla, and function like vanilla Minecraft, while also being useful, interesting, and worth adding in the first place. I remember when the Aether mod came out, and how blown away people were by that mod. And part of me, what I really liked about the Aether, at least when it first released, I know they did some, like, boss stuff later on, but when it first released, it was like, yeah, this is like adding a new dimension that feels like the base game. Again, this was like 10 years ago now. And that was crazy, right? The original Aether was like, right, because they added all these new cloud blocks, these new ores, and it was different, but it really felt, that's why people are so obsessed with the Aether, because it captured that aesthetic so well. And of course, later on things changed, but at the time it was really cool. Continuing on, we've literally scrapped so many ideas and had to redo entire concepts at times. That's before implementation too. Even most vanilla-style mods struggle with keeping vanilla. Something you'll hear from other mod developers is that they don't have to do what Mojang does. They don't have to fully keep a vanilla style. They don't have to port every feature, system, behavior, etc. to engines and even codebase. They also don't have to worry about getting it to work with mobile devices. They have a lot of freedom. So something I have always said about the mob, right, the mob vote in defense of Mojang, right? Because I've always been kind of in the middle ground on this is Mojang lazy thing. But one of the things I've always said is that, right, a modder is just making a mod for Java Edition. Mojang, on the other hand, has to make it work on Java, Bedrock PC, Xbox, Switch, PlayStation, iPhone, Android, other, I'm pretty sure older, like PS5 and PS4, Xbox One and Xbox Series X, right? You have to work a lot of different things. You can't just do one of them. And that's something, people don't take into account, is that they have to make sure something works on all of these systems. All right. Now you may be thinking, they're so simple though. Why can't they add all three? That brings me to my next point, why they shouldn't just add all three. This is where we come to understand what mobs in these videos actually entail. They're simple for a very good reason. These aren't actual mobs with well-defined mechanics. They're basic ideas, very simple concepts for what could be. Why do you think they so often don't do as much as the mob guarantees as part of the update? Look at the development process for Allays as an example, right? Allays changed a lot, right? Their model changed a little bit. They went back and changed Vexes, right? Things changed during development. The example I always use is No Man's Skies, right? No Man's Skies, in their development process, promised rotating planets. And then when they implemented that into the game, players just found it confusing, so they took it out, right? Because sometimes you implement something and it just doesn't work. An iteration of them was supposed to be part of the Nether update, but they didn't know where to put them and didn't have time to figure that out. Their design was also very simple in a basic prototype. They don't add all three mobs because they're in the idea bin. And it's not like they're never going to get added. Look at frogs, for example. It actually became better by not getting voted in. The biome vote for them never mentioned a whole new biome with a set of mud blocks. They also didn't mention anything about frog lights. Now, there is some complication there, because, well, yes, that is true. They didn't mention a new biome, and they didn't mention frog lights. They did mention this new type of tree, and, right, frogs in general, but they also promised fireflies, and that didn't happen. For what I think, I have a 40-minute video on fireflies. You can go watch that another time. All of these mobs can be added. They just need to fill a need and have an opportunity like frogs and mangroves in the wild update. If they fit an update and are worth exploring, they'll get added at some point. Better in execution than they would have been, to say the least. If they're all added, you'll get 3 boring as hell mobs rather than 1 slightly disappointing entity and 2 much more developed ideas and features much later. They shouldn't all be added at once. Quantity in the case would negate any quality. This is something I've said. I would be perfectly fine if the mob vote was like, which one of these 3 mobs do you want first? Because the thing is, Mojang roughly puts out 2 updates a year. 1 in the summer and 1 in the winter. So if they were to come out and be like, hey, guess what? When you're voting on this mob for the mob vote, let's say the crab wins, then the crab will be added in the 1.21 update. And then the other 2 mobs, maybe they get added in 1.22. Or maybe just the armadillo gets added in 1.22, right? However they figure it out. I'd be fine with that in theory. I hate the idea of like bringing up this idea that is really cool, and then just, dying in development. And I get stuff dies in development all the time. The birch forest, again, talking about fireflies again. Right, that shit happens. But when it's something people have wanted for, again, over 10 years now, and there's a chance that we just never get it because of this, that it's literally up to the roll of a dice, that's not good. The mob votes are not fully fleshed out ideas. They're made up of Mojang's random ideas. They don't know what to do, and they're basically asking, which one do you want first? I wish. I see, I don't read it that way. I'm sure, right, they do, but that's not how I read this, right? And my reason for that is every previous mob vote. Every previous mob vote, every idea that wasn't added in was scrapped, right? We haven't heard about the Moo Bloom or the Copper Golem or any of those other weird creatures from the original mob vote ever since. The biome vote was different because they said they were going to do the other biomes. This is a little different. Keep in mind they're making an entire update, and this is essentially just an appetizer. Bonus, there's actually a lot I couldn't fit into this, but I hope you understand this basic thread of concepts presented. So, right, like, I get their argument here, right, that, hey, if you just let them take their time, they'll give you better stuff. And I do agree with that, right, and usually that's how it works, but I wish I want more transparency. I remember at last year's Minecraft Live, I said what Mojang has is not a game problem, it's a PR problem. And then Minecraft Live came in, and they gave us even less transparency. And I feel like that's what they need to fix. I want more transparency. Right? The reason Nintendo's able to get away with restarting development of Metroid Prime 4, and even 6 years later we know nothing about it, is because they were transparent about it. If Mojang just had a little more transparency, that would solve all of their issues. Okay, not all of their issues, but it would solve some of them. So from this tweet from the Wither King, right, so it got responded to by King B Dogs, who is, Minecraft gameplay developer, driven by gameplay, great creative stories, so on and so forth. Right, and it's one of the biggest things left out about the whole why not out all 3 is also all the things the community wouldn't get because we'd be focusing on adding 2 extra mobs. Time isn't some free resource. If we worked on all of them, we'd have less for core updates. Do y'all work 2-hour shifts or something? What's this intricate and hard about making a crab that just gives extra reach? So this is their response. And again, they are an actual developer. So we work 8-hour shifts. Thanks. Let's see any given feature. This is a list of things to do. Iterate the design to make sure it fits holistically in the full game. Make prototypes to validate the design and see if it's actually fun. Rewrite the feature as production code in Java and Bedrock engines. These are two different engines and two different types of programming languages, Java and C++. The engines also have different technology and different functionality, meaning these things are not always an easy-to-do one-to-one port. This means developing the feature twice, requiring twice the amount of work any mod would have by default. Make sure it works on all platforms, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, mobile devices. Right, again, I've always stood by this point. Let's keep going here. Etc. Make sure it's performant on all of those platforms, is not causing regression of any of them. So, like, for example, right, there are people who have already modded the Penguin into the game. And I'll tell you right now, let's say that Penguin mod has a thing where if you drop the Penguin from Sky Limit into the Void, it crashes the game. Right? And just for a mod, who cares, right? It's just a mod that adds the penguins in the game. If it has that bug, it's no big deal. But if the official version of Minecraft has that bug, even if nobody would come across it normally, that's still kind of an issue, right? So they also have to go making the official game, they have to be far more scrutinous with stuff like that than a modder does. Absolutely sure the code we are writing is clean, readable, and will pass quality thresholds for getting merged into the code base without making our future self suffer. Put them through PR, get tech approval, and sign off that feature and developed to the standards we are happy with. Sift through feedback from the community and features, iterate on the design based on the feedback and re-implementation of those changes twice on each platform, go through all new tracked bugs that come in and fix them until the feature is at quality that is not only expected of us, but acceptable based on our own quality standards. And that is but a small slice of what it means to actually work on a feature in the game. I would not be able to give you a real picture of what it's like on Twitter because it's a big process. Working on this game is hard, and people unfortunately don't get a good insight to what it's like without working in the industry themselves. Hopefully that gives you a small bit of insight. So I agree with all of this, and one of the things I like about Mojang is that they have healthy, right? Like everyone's, right, this whole 2-hour thing gets thrown around a lot. And that's just a made-up number. It's always been. But, right, Mojang works a healthy work, right? 8-hour shifts. They're not crunching. They're not working, right? Like you hear about, like, the developers at CD Projekt Red or at Rockstar that are literally working, like, 12 to, like, 16-hour shifts just to make sure their game gets done out on time. No, Mojang has a healthy work-life balance. And I love that, right? That's great. I know there are some people who are like, who will say that that Mojang's healthy work-life balance is a good thing, and then the second something disappointing happens related to Minecraft, they all of a sudden complain that, oh, the work-life balance is bad. No, I still think it's a good thing. It will always be a good thing. So the third perspective we have here. So, right, this was in response to the King B-Dogs thing. And this was... Can I just open this image in a new tab? Is there... So, right, it's this idea of... Right, this is also Violet Moon, who... Minecraft mod pack by something, Quirk, Botanist, Sci, so on and so forth. Not affiliated with Mojang. But they made this, right? The fact is, Mojang lazy or modders better than Mojang both make no sense because, or just as a matter of not understanding exactly what's going on either end. Universally, nearly all modders understand the ease of development as a mod versus the amount of overhead that exists in a large studio. You'll usually only see these takes from uninformed individuals and very, very rarely from the modder said individuals use an example. So a modder can, within a span of one day, think up an idea, chat with some friends on Discord about it, code the idea, and release the mod. I do all this with the time, and if something sucks, well, I don't know, dude, just turn it off the configure or something. Remove in the next update, I don't know. We all know this, and it's why modders can be so prolific and release so much content so quickly. If you are a dev at Mojang and want to add a feature to the game, you'd have to go through a bunch of hoops. You have to pitch the idea at a business meeting to ensure everyone's on board with it. If enough people are in the team don't like the feature, you have to adapt it, or maybe it'll just be discarded after a ton of work is done on building it because enough people are against it, therefore work thrown out. You have to ensure the feature is actually good. Mods can use the game version updates or major patches to remove or significantly alter features in them for better. But once something is in vanilla, the amount of work needed to remove it is gargantuan, which adds a lot of overhead to ensure garbage isn't added that makes the game worse accidentally. Even a mod like Quirk, that is often lauded as what vanilla should be, and other similar phrases, has had every single feature in it criticized or removed by some player at some point, and you can't just remove stuff from vanilla at will. Ensure the feature actually fits in the game. When Mojang tried to get into more creative and complex directions, see the Nether update or the Ancient City and the Ward and stuff like that, a significant portion of the player base pans those updates as too modded or just not Minecraft. So you need to keep a careful balance on what you add to make sure it's not too out there and you don't alienate your more down-to-earth players. You have to ensure that a feature isn't too basic. Right, so it can't be too complex, it can't be too basic. This is the opposite of the previous point. When Mojang's tried to make more basic content, that's just more of the simple Minecraft stuff people enjoy, another significant portion of the player base pans those updates as lazy content, or the game would just be way better, often citing the exact type of feature that would get panned by other players in the previous point. They have to test the features extensively, make sure it doesn't break the entire game, and some subtle ways. If Mojang adds some overpowered nonsense in a snapshot, and it's found a month later and patched, people will be incredibly mad about it, especially on places like YouTube, where negativity and outrage farm clicks, see TNT duping, iron farms, villager loop healing, etc. and etc. Right, we're seeing that right now with the whole changes to villagers and books. Every feature added in Java needs to be duplicated in Bedrock Edition 2, so features need to be specific changes to be added into Bedrock. That's a lot of extra work to be done to make sure it can. Additionally, a dev needs to be allocated to add a feature to Bedrock, so even if it's the same dev that already had at least double the time on coding, extra if the feature depends on some base game code idiosyncrasy. You have to make sure the feature works on every platform. If you add something that can't be done on a gamepad or a touch display, that's immediately out. Because of the push of features parodies, good luck adding any feature that would require a keyboard mapping. You have to write and develop unit tests for your new thing, and best pray you didn't break any of the previous one. Unit tests are an automated system that tests if specific behaviors work. They're very useful for testing complex systems and making sure you don't accidentally break anything older. You also have to spend 4 hours today fixing however many bugs that were just assigned to you on Jira earlier. Sorry if you wanted to use that time to make content. Modders don't have to fix the several million tiny issues that show up in the base game. Exactly. Does Minecraft even have any active community managers anymore? I guess if you're a dev, it's also part of your job description to listen and talk with 3 million kids on Twitter screaming in your ear. Hope you have a good therapist. By the way, Mojang doesn't actually pay the devs a competitive salary in general, let alone how much work one is expected to do and the importance of their work and the game's vitality, let alone for how much they save on training by hiring modders who already know these code bases back and forth with years of experience. In fact, the dev team isn't that large. Most of the Minecraft staff doesn't work on the game directly, so they don't even come to me with the billion-dollar company thing, unless it's advocating for better pay. Always advocate for better. Yep, I advocate for better pay. Totally. Hire more developers and pay them all better. Oh, phew, now you can actually get to make the feature. Just make sure it passes through 5 different snapshots for player feedback before anything makes it into the game, because the company is so traumatized of doing dumb things in the past, like Dinnerboat adding elytra rockets as a fun feature and entirely breaking every incentive to build transportation and infrastructure in the game. Can you imagine if they walked that back now? I would have so many DMs from Mojang people venting. Then you go home, open Twitter, and see 20 people calling you to be fired because John Vanilla Plus added 20 new wood types yesterday. Just another Tuesday. So hopefully you're seeing a lot of overlap between these three, right? Between all of these things. Hopefully you're seeing a lot of overlap, right? There are certain points they bring up every time. Now, like I said at the beginning, I'm kind of in the middle on a lot of this mode, right? I support the developers, but I think a lot of Mojang's problem is PR stuff, right? Someone needs to just, write a book about how Mojang, right? Like, basically everything in here, someone needs to just write, like, a book or something, or do, like, a video diary explaining every step of the process. And then anytime someone complains, you just point to that. Right? It's a PR issue. At least some of it is. But no, I agree with all of it, right? A game as big as Minecraft, right? It's a $1 billion company, highest sold game of all time. But that comes with certain ideas. That comes with certain expectations. And I totally get that. And I understand the complication and the frustration and why it's so difficult to do all this. And Twitter just doesn't fucking help. Again, I think of the No Man's Sky. When the game came out and the employees were just being harassed on Twitter, guess what they did? They just went social media blackout. Right? Everybody but God, and it's not Todd. I almost called him Todd Howard. The lead developer, Sean Murray. Everybody but Sean Murray just completely blacked out on social media. And right, he dealt with all that stuff. And yeah, and guess what? They turned that game around. And there is a part of me, and this, I don't think this is just giving them credit, but I think Minecraft is working towards something big. That, right, the last update, the 1.20 update, was a very small update, in my opinion, right? Like, it wasn't as big as the Ancient City. It wasn't as big as the Nether update. Because in the background, I think the developers at Mojang are working on something big. There's all this talk about another dimension. And while it wasn't in 1.20, and it might not be in 1.21, maybe it'll be in 1.22, maybe 1.23, and it might be massive. Could this be me giving them too much credit? Maybe. But I think behind the scenes, something big might be going on. Right? So while we're getting all these, like, smaller updates, it's because they're working on something big in the background. And I stand by the Caves and Cliffs update. I know it was broken up into 2 parts, 3 parts kind of, but the stuff added in it were the new caves, I hate them, but I love them. I think they're amazing. The Ancient City is so fun to explore, right? They bring up the, feature that fits the game, because some people will complain that it's just too modded or just not Minecraft. I think the Ancient City, it's definitely the least Minecraft, but I think it's fantastic. I have so much fun with the Ancient City. I think it was a fantastic feature that people just do not give enough credit to. So yeah, that's all the shit around. There's so much other stuff about this whole mob vote thing, and honestly, I just rather not deal with any of this. Personally, I just kind of hope they retire the mob vote. I know there's the saying that there is no such thing as bad publicity, and I guess that's true, right? There's no such thing as bad publicity. That's technically true, but at the same time, I'm just kind of I'm tired of the mob vote. Having this same conversation every year. I'm just so fucking sick of it. Everyone I know is tired of it. Hopefully, I probably will have to do the same song and dance again next year. I really hope I don't, but I might. So, yeah. The last thing I wanted to show. So wolves were added in Minecraft Beta 1.4. I started playing Minecraft in Beta 1.5. This video is 12 years old, right? I probably started playing maybe around this time. I know I started playing Minecraft around this time. So wolves were added into the game. And if people don't remember, at the time, wolves were considered a disappointment. So much so that someone made a mod called Better Than Wolves. That was a real thing somebody did. Because they were so disappointed in Notch in Wolves that they made a brand new mod, right? Called Better Than Wolves. That added stuff that was better than Wolves. Yeah, this is definitely before 1.7 because that's the old cobblestone texture. But right, and it added things like windmills. And the whole reason I bring, the whole reason I bring this up, right, Better Than Wolves, is because I feel like no matter what Mojang adds, people have always been disappointed. So I want to play the beginning of this Yogscast video from 12 years ago, just to make my point.
Hello and welcome to the Yogscast. Today we are looking at a mod, the Better Than Wolves mod. That's what it's called. I think it's sort of a little nudge at Notch. I mean, Notch has just added pretty much trivial stuff recently, so this guy has totally overhauled the whole game and put some incredible stuff in. So that's just some of the stuff there: water wheels and windmills.
So, again, yep, exactly what I was saying. Some things never change. Notch, back in beta 1.5, he was still adding some trivial stuff. Yeah, some things never change. You will never make some people happy. I was rewatching because I was curious about Better Than Wolves because I was thinking about it with all this mob vote stuff. And it was actually a really cool mod at the time. But watching this video again and seeing that opening line of them calling Wolves a trivial addition is so fucking funny in hindsight. I love that so much. That's just like, yep, we are in an endless cycle that just repeats over and over again, doomed to failure. It's really fucking funny when you think about it. So yeah, that's the mob vote, man. Wild. I'll still, like I said, I'm gonna vote for that crab, because I want that crab in the game. But it's just, that's how things happened. Some things sadly never change. So yeah. Alright, oops. Alright, let me get that. Yeah, let's get that. And boom. There we go. Oh, I gotta switch over the thing. Oh shit, do I not have game audio? Okay, okay, now we have game audio. Okay. So that's my long thing about the mob vote. Yeah, I'm voting for that crab. No matter what, that crab has my vote. But it's going to be interesting to see it all play out. And I hope at Minecraft Live they come out with something. Because again, I think part of it's a PR issue. Oh, we got a bronze trophy. Oh yeah, because that was last week. Oh, we got a splash tag. So yeah, that's Minecraft Live is next week. I think it's next. It's the 13th. So it's I think next Friday. I'll watch it. I have no reason not to. So yeah, I guess that moves us on to our next thing. So Nintendo announced that the Nintendo 3DS how do I... Okay. So Nintendo announced that the Nintendo 3DS and WiiU Online services will be shutting down in April of next year. So earlier... Oh, actually, Let me turn that down a little bit. That's very loud. That's a little quiet now. So earlier in this year, back in, was it April of this year? I don't know. At some point earlier this year, Nintendo shut down the 3DS and Wii U eShop. Maybe it was in like April or May. It was earlier this year. And now they have announced that, yeah, in April of next year, they will be shutting down online services. So, like, if you still own a Wii U and you've been playing Mario Kart 8 online, that's getting shut down, right? If you want to play Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, it has a very interesting online mode. It's basically the same mode as the Switch version, right? The Switch version has an online mode, the Scarescraper. It's basically the same thing. And yeah, they're shutting down the online mode for that as well. So, right, that, like, Kid Icarus, I know, had an online mode. That is actually very fun. That's being shut down. Of course, you know, modders are going to come, like Mario Kart Wii. Modders are going to come in and pick up some of the slack, probably. But, yeah, no, it does suck to see these servers going online. It's just the death of online games. But this is a major company doing this. And, right, it's only a matter of time until PlayStation and Xbox do the same thing. Admittedly, I think PlayStation and Xbox are working on shutting down the 360 and the PS3 stores, right? They're a full generation back. But still, they're working on it. That's going to happen. So Nintendo they're shutting that down. Now, they did point out the one exception to this is Pokemon Bank. Pokemon Bank is not being shut down in April of 2024. That does not mean it is never being... I would love for it to never be shut down, right? I would love for it, for the end of time, people to be able to bring their Pokemon from Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald up to the current game. That would be really cool. But I don't think that's how this is going to work, right? There's going to be some sort of cutoff eventually, right? It's not going to be in April of next year. But I've seen some people suggest that maybe they'll wait until, like, a black and white remake. Because of the, like, 28 Pokemon missing from the modern Pokemon games, a majority of them, all but, like, 2, are from black and white. Or, no, a majority, except for 5. My correction. 5 of them aren't in black and white. The Toucanon line and the, Meteor and Furfrou, right? One Gen 7 line, a Gen 7 single stage, and a Gen 6 single stage. Other than that, the remaining 23 are all from Gen 5. And I know that number is a little different because of Swanna, and we know Blitzel's coming back, and we know the Gen 5 starters are coming back, right? There are some complications there. But right, there are clearly some changes happening. And, right, if they decide, like, hey, once we've got a black and white game out, and every Pokemon is available on Switch systems, that could be the point I see where they cut things off. I don't know. I still don't think we need a Gen 5 remake. As much as some people really want it, I do not think it's necessary at all. But if they're cutting backwards compatibility for those older games... Because basically, if they put Gens 1, 2, and 3 on Virtual Console, we have the Gen 4 remake, we get a Gen 5 remake, that only cuts off Gen 6 and 7. Right? That's a lot less games cut out. But, right, these services can't last forever. But that is definitely a deadline I'm keeping in mind. Because I still have a bunch of Pokemon sitting in those older games. Dating back, like, I don't have Pokemon from, like, when I was a kid, but I have Pokemon from, like, 10 years ago, from when I Let's Played Black and White, that I still have. I have some of them anyways. And I do want to bring those up to the newer games at some point. Probably later this year. Probably, I don't know, probably in, like, December. Maybe even earlier than that. I don't know, we'll see. Again, there's that strike coming up that kind of throws everything into complication. That may or may not still be happening. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, it's a whole thing. And these online servers, like, we all knew it was coming, but it still sucks that it happens. Right, the eShop shut down, now this is shutting down. What's next? There will always be a next one. Right, when is the Switch getting shut down? Because guess what? The Switch is mainly popular right now, but the Switch 2 is coming out next year. Do we only have like 3 more years with the Switch eShop before that gets shut down? It's totally. I mean, the Switch isn't a failure, and they kept the Wii U eShop around at least a good ways into the Wii U's lifespan. At least I think so. But Nintendo's willing to shut off things a lot earlier than other companies. Right? They do that a lot. Yeah. So yeah, make sure you get, if you have Pokemon games from the 3DS era, make sure you get those things up sooner rather than later, because you'll run out of time eventually. My mouth is so dry. Talking about Minecraft mobs for like 15 minutes can do that to you. That my Minecraft rant was as long as my Firefly rant. Because that was also crazy long. Do I want to upgrade it? No, I don't want to upload another Minecraft rant. I mean, it'd be very on brand for me, but I don't want to do that. Anything else about the 3DS and WiiU Online services? Not that I can think of. It's just... we're out of time. I hope Kid Icarus gets a remake. That game is so fucking... it's one of the best games of all time. And its biggest flaw is that it's trapped on the 3DS. And that online mode is very fun. You pick the weapons in the game, and you're like, it's like a light versus dark battle. People don't really talk about it that much, but I remember having so much fun with it. And then we got the Scare Scraper in Luigi's Mansion 3. And I'm sure they'll bring it back in 2. Yeah, not that I really think outside of Pokemon. I don't really think of online 3DS games, but they did exist. The other one that's being hit big is Mario Maker. Basically, every course uploaded in Mario Maker is gone. And that's gonna suck, right? I do not like that, but it looks like that's where we're going with it. Oh, gosh. I should not have opened that soda. Oh. That maybe was a mistake. Yeah, let's just keep going. So I guess that, it's a short... the mob vote was the one big thing I wanted to talk about. Other than that, we got a pretty short show tonight. So I guess that takes us to WIBE. So, the strike is still ongoing. There's stuff we cannot talk about. So, yeah, I'm hopeful. I guess the SAG-AFTRA and the AMTP have been meeting this week. So I am hopeful things happen. But we do have the video game strike. I know we started Spider-Man. And I hopefully within the next week we will beat it. At least the main campaign. The DLC will probably take us another stream or 2. But I'm going to predict it's going to take us a total of 3 streams. So 2 more. Or I guess 3 more, including the DLC. Because I don't remember the DLC being that long. But I could be totally wrong about that. So, yeah. I'm hopeful for some things. I'm hopeful for Spider-Man. I do enjoy, despite its problems, despite all its propaganda, I still do enjoy that game. It's a very fun game. I'm very excited for the sequel that comes out in like 2 weeks. I just hope they tone down the propaganda. Maybe give MJ some actress jobs. Right? Instead of just being a Lois Lane ripoff. So what have I been doing? Well, anime-wise, I watched the second season of Mish Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. So I watched the first season. I enjoyed the crap out of it. Right, it's really good. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a very fun anime. And then I read the manga. I at least read up to a certain point. And then then when the second season came out, I didn't watch it. But this week I was thinking about it again, because the next thing we'll talk about, a long-running manga I had been reading, finally wrapped up this week. And so I was like, oh shit, oh that's cool. And it got me thinking about some of the anime I watched around that time. And one of them was Kobayashi. So I was like, oh, you know, I should watch that second season. So I did. I watched it in I binged it. I binged it hard in 3 days. That's binge hard for me. I know some people would do it in 3 hours. No, it takes me a while to get the stuff. But no, I enjoy the second season. It did not do as much as I thought it was going to do, because I have read some of the manga. I'm definitely way out of date on it. The last thing I really remember was the wizard exam, because Kobayashi and is he just called Shota? Do they ever actually call him by his name, or do they just call him Shota? They go and take a wizard exam at some point. And that's the last thing I remember from the manga. There might have been things after that, but that's the last thing I remember. So I figured for the second season, right, you open with a Lululu. I know I added one too many Lus, but yeah. Right, that's the obvious place to open with, and that's exactly what they do. And that where a Lululu turns Kobayashi into a man, I think is so fucking funny. Especially when Toru figures it out and, right, tries to sleep with her. That's so fucking funny. Yeah, I think a Lululu is fine. I do not like her character design. They just went... No. It's fucking... It reminds me of the one girl from... My Girlfriend is a Gal, you know, the pink-haired one, who I find annoying. It reminds me of that. I do like that Lulu works at a candy shop. I think that's interesting, and she's got a little... Right, there's this guy who's got a crush on her. I think that's neat, and I think that works really well. But, other than that... Right, I think the Lulu stuff is fine, right? I just don't... And her design, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just, they knew what they were doing. You know, perverts and all that jazz. Yeah. But then the rest of the... So that's where I figured the season was going to start, right? I was totally correct on that. I figured the season was going to end with, spoiler alert for the manga, Kana's dad. Because there's a big plot about Kana's dad in the manga, where he comes and... he visits, and I want to say he wants to use his daughter to do something. Like, he has some sort of evil plan or something. And I was like, oh, that's obviously where they go with, that's how they end the season. And that might be how they open the third season with Kana's dad. But honestly, I feel like not much happened in the second season. If I'm being honest. Like, yeah, you know, you got to spend time with all the characters. You know, you spent some time with Lukawa and Shota as he tried to, make his dad a gift. You spend some time with Fafnir and the guy. And, right, they talked about their relationship as the guy's parents came to visit. You spend a lot of time with, the water dragon, whose name I'm forgetting off the top of my head. It's not Eleanor. It's... Whatever the water dragon, you spend a lot of time with her, because this season spent a lot of time on her backstory. And right, we learn how her and Toru met, how they traveled the world together for a little bit, and then they had a falling out. And it's like, okay, that's very interesting. Right, I remember that. But yeah, I don't know, I guess the season just kind of ends. And I wish there was more, right? Because the first season ends with Toru's dad. And it's like, oh shit, it's Toru's dad. Oh, he almost kills Kobayashi. Admittedly, in the manga, that plays out very differently. Like, in the manga, I want to say he just shows up on Kobayashi's couch, and it's a lot less, like, climactic. Right? They made it more climactic for the show, or at least I think they did. I don't know. It's been a while. I just remember it being different, right? Like, the whole way they do it. It starts off less hostile, maybe. Right? The Emperor Demise. But yeah, so I don't know. I guess I just wanted something more. I wanted something for the ending. And I just feel like the show just kind of ended. Like, there could be another, like, 3 episodes. And maybe 2 episodes. And I feel like that would be, like, a good way to wrap up the season. But no. Now, I know there were some... Because didn't the studio burn down? I want to say the studio, like, burned down or something terrible like that. Oh my god, look at that guy's speed gear. So I'm assuming that had some sort of role to play in some things. But I think the show still looks great. They have a few stylized sequences throughout, right? Especially for, like, flashbacks and whatnot, that look very good. Right? The fight scenes still look very good. There's a big fight between Toru and the water dragon, whose name I still cannot remember. And it's like, okay, this is pretty cool. Is it Elma? Is Elma the water dragon's name? I'd get to it eventually. But yeah, it's Kobayashi, you know, it's a fun show. So the manga I read though, I first heard about it from the anime. There's an anime called Interview with Monster Girls. And you know, it's kind of like, you know, there's that one anime, is it called Daily Monster? I'm just going to call it Monster Musume, because I don't remember what the actual, like, English translation is. But it's a very not safe for work show, right? I think it's very funny. I have a lot of fun with that show, but it's very not safe for work. But hey, do you want that concept, but safe for work, right? It's about school children, not in a perverted way, but right, it's about, like, kids learning about being monsters and, like, dealing with, you know, their everyday life as monster girls. It's very wholesome, it's very fun. Does it have, like, it never goes beyond PG-13 in my opinion. At least I can't think of a moment where it ever goes beyond PG-13. And I'm talking, like, American PG-13 here. At least, I mean, yeah, no, definitely not, like, anime, no. Right, there's never a nipple, for example. But, because it's a very wholesome show. It's a very fun little show. And I was like, oh, I like this. And then I saw the manga, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll read this. And the manga was very interesting. And this was years ago now. I feel like it was years ago now. It was probably like a year or 2 ago. And I read it, and I was like, okay, this is pretty... You know, I'm enjoying this. They introduced some new characters. Like, there's one monster who can never leave their house. There's a character who I want to say can, like, see the future or something. There's a whole plot about, like, what is reality... Like, and they bring this up kind of in the show about, like, reality being based on observation. So they create an experiment to see if they can observe the Doulahan girl. I want to say her name is Maki. If they can get her head to attach to her body, and they're actually able to do it. And it's like, okay, right, they play around with, like, observation and our perception of reality. And I was like, okay, it's very fun. Just spoiler alert ahead for the manga, by the way. I'm just going to spoil everything right now. But eventually, right, one of the teachers is a succubus, and she gets a crush on the biology teacher. And eventually, in the manga, they do hook up, right? They do actually start dating. It's fun, you know. Again, it's mostly wholesome. She does definitely use her succubus charm once or twice. But it's done very well. It's a very good, very cute show. And the manga's really good as well. So this, like, on October 1st, the final issue's released. Right? The final volume, I want to say volume 11. And the series is now complete. And I feel like I've been waiting a year for this final volume. Like, it's been forever since volume 10 came out. But now here we are, the final volume, and I liked how it ended. Because, right, it's called Interview with Monster Girls. And in the final few issues, right, in the final volume, they make a podcast where they're interviewing each other, but, right, other monster girls and, like, their classmates and their teachers, just to, like, talk about their experiences. And it actually, I'm like, no, that actually, they treat it like a radio show, but but they say podcast. And I'm like, okay, that's actually really cool. Like, I like that. I think that's a very logical place to end the show. With them, right, because it's, the title, Interview with Monster Girls, is about their science teacher interviewing them. To find out more about, like, demis, and what demis do. But now, it's like, they've basically taken the power and put it into their own hands. And I'm like, yeah, that's very interesting. So I feel like it ended, and and the teacher and the succubus are still together, the biology teacher, right? There's a researcher who's doing more research, and they end, the manga ends with a new girl showing up. And it's like, oh, well, what monster is he? Or is she? Who knows? But right, it's basically just the story, like, it ends on a good note, right? With somebody new getting introduced to the group and fitting right in. And I'm like, yeah, it's a very sweet and wholesome end. It's a good anime. I've been thinking a lot about it. In, like, because there's part of me that's like, okay, this is, right, so the three characters are a vampire, a snow woman, and a Doulahan. Right? If you don't know, a Doulahan is like the headless horseman, right? Their head is detached from their body. And I'm watching it, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, yeah, this is obviously a metaphor for people with disabilities. And they kind of play into that in the final few issues with, oh, I thought I was dead. I thought that bazooka killed me. They kind of play into that, because Maki, who is the Doulahan, is obviously a metaphor for like a person with a wheelchair. Or a person who has, like, some sort of amputation, right? Because she has certain accommodations and modifications to allow her to succeed and live her best possible life. Right? That's clearly the metaphor there. And then the other two, the snow woman and the vampire, are some sort of... I'd have to actually, like, read into it and, like, see their personalities and whatnot. But I'm gonna guess the vampire is probably autism. And the snow woman might be... I don't want to say depression, but, like, it's gonna be, like, OCD or ADHD or something like that. Like, those metaphors clearly exist within there. And I think that's a very interesting angle to view it from, and I definitely have to look more into that. But I think on that level, the show handles its topics very well. Now, I don't have any of those, right? I'm not... How do I want to phrase this? I don't have a disability. Sure, let's put it like that. So I don't, like, maybe someone with a disability would view it very differently. But how I viewed it, I think it works really well. And I like how it ends. I think it ends on a good note. So I enjoyed it. And yeah, I don't know how many issues it was. Or... I want to say it was, like, somewhere in the 70s. 70-something issues. 11 volumes... 73 issues, yeah. But I enjoyed it, and I do recommend... I definitely recommend the anime. I think the anime is very wholesome and fun, and if you really like it, yeah, check out the manga, now that it's complete. So yeah, have I been... So that's been my anime and manga. Have I been doing anything else? Again, everything else I can think of has been struck. I didn't play any Trombone Champ this week. I played some Starfield, I finally got back to that. I've been exploring planets, scanning things. I saw, was it Andrew Patton tweet that, scanning, that he scanned, like, every planet in the game, and it's, like, thousands of planets. And that's crazy, man. Yeah, I think I saw Andrew Patton tweet that, and I was like, that's wild. Haven't tried any new food. Did I? No, I don't think I did. Oh. I'm waiting. I know Burger King next week is returning their Ghost Whopper. Their Ghost Pepper Whopper. And I remember, I remember liking that. So I might try that next week, but yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think I tried anything else. I know Taco Bell brought back their nacho fries, and I'm just like, I wish they had brought back the... I hate that the nacho fries went out right as the volcano stuff came back, because I would have loved volcano nacho fries, or just nacho fries that came with their volcano cheese sauce. Because now the volcano stuff is gone, but the nacho fries are back. That would have been such a great... Volcano nacho fries would have been awesome. And maybe they will do that one day in the future. But, yeah. But no, I think that's all I got for WIBE. I can't think of anything else. I really have not been playing anything else. Like, Mario comes out in 2 weeks. Spider-Man comes out in 2 weeks. I'm excited for both of those games. So, yeah. Anything else? Nah, nothing I can think of. Yeah, no, nothing I can think of. That, again, isn't struck. There's definitely... my strike list keeps growing every week. It's not going to be as big as you think it is. I'll tell you that right now. It's not as big as you think it is. But I do definitely have some things on there. Yeah, I guess that takes us to the outro. So, this whole PNG-Tuber thing. I don't want to use the term VTuber. This definitely ain't VTuber. I'm going to go with PNG-Tuber for the moment, for lack of a better word. You know, I wanted to try it. It's been something I've been curious about for a long time now. And I was I was chatting with people around it when we were doing Breath of the Wild, I want to say. Maybe Tears of the Kingdom. I think Breath of the Wild, I was chatting with some people about it. And I was like, I'm kind of curious to, you know, try things out and whatnot. And yeah, it all kind of finally came together. I know this is the most basic, boring form. I definitely have that flickering issue. And I definitely need to, you know, adjust some settings, change some things. But in its, like, most basic form, for what I want, right, just as, like, a most basic starting point, I do like it. I do think it's like, oh, that's, you know, just to have a little me here in the corner, that when I talk, it opens its mouth. I think that's good. I like that. You know, for like a start to, you know, just give something more like a visual indicator. Because I know I have a webcam. I use it for Nintendo Directs. But, you know me. VTubing is something like, I don't really watch VTubers. But I think in theory, they're a great idea. And just for me, like, this is basic enough where I'm like, yeah, I like this. I'm definitely going to have to do some experimenting. That's for dang sure. But as a start, yeah, I guess this is where we start. I don't know, there's inevitably going to be some problems. I mean, I'm literally fucking green screening this thing in. So, you know, that's a whole thing. Because I'm not very smart. I have no money in this game. Because I keep spending it on fucking tube worms. Yeah. So what's upcoming for the stream? Well, and I don't know, like, I don't know if I'm going to use this in Spider-Man tomorrow. I might, but I probably... For now, this is probably going to be an in-chat only thing. Right, just every in-chat, we're going to test this out. So, yeah. But we'll be back tomorrow with Spider-Man. I'm definitely doing Spider... I know I've been kind of, like, iffy, like, will I not? And then I just end up doing it anyways. Tomorrow, I'm definitely doing Spider-Man. I definitely want to play more. I was enjoying the game. I do feel like I'm being very quiet, right? Like, I'm just sitting in and enjoying the game. And so I feel like I'm being very quiet. I'm not talking all that much. And is that a bad thing? Yes, in theory. But God, I enjoy that game. And again, I hope to beat it within the next week. So right, tomorrow and then maybe Saturday we go again. And then we beat it on Saturday and then we do the DLCs. And yeah. But it's a good game. We're definitely not doing all the achievements. Nah, fuck that. I've done it once before. I don't need to do it again. And then other than that, right after that, you got Miles Morales. Super Mario Wonder comes out at some point. And I'm very excited for that. Demos for that are popping up at like Target and GameStop and whatnot. And people have been enjoying them. So it's just 2 weeks away. That's going to be very cool. I'm very excited for that day. And yeah. Other than that, the only other thing I have for like our outro announcements, the Pikmin 3 video. I had a little bit of time like last week. And I was like, you know what? Let's just sit down and make this Pikmin 3 video. I've been pushing it off for like 2 months now. I really want to just do it and have it done. And so I did. It took me way long. Honestly, the Pikmin 3 video took me way longer than I wanted to. Because, you know, when I tried... Pikmin 3 is definitely a more story-based game. And as a result, I felt more... Because when I make, like, stream highlights like that, I usually try to preserve some aspect of the story. Right? So, like, even if you've never played the game, you can still more or less follow what's going on in the plot. More or less. And, right, it took a lot longer. Pikmin 1, you've got the cutscene at the beginning and the cutscene at the end, and that's basically all I had to worry about. Pikmin 2, cutscene at the beginning, cutscene in the middle, cutscene at the end. But Pikmin 3 had a lot more. Pikmin 4 is kind of complicated. But, so the Pikmin 1 video was 30 minutes. The Pikmin 2 video was an hour and a half. Pikmin 3 video is an hour. So I bet the Pikmin 4 video is going to be like 2 hours, if not longer. Because that's like, it was 5 hours, I cut down to 1 hour. And then I want to say Pikmin 4 was what? Pikmin 2, I mean, was 15 hours. I cut down to like 1.5, 2. I think it was like an hour 43. I bet the Pikmin 4 is going to be like 2 hours, if not longer. But that's going to be a project I'm going to slowly work on over the coming weeks. And hopefully we'll have done before the end of the year. Because it's literally just me editing in the little free time I have. Like, I kind of blitzkrieged the Pikmin 3 video, but it still took forever. So yeah, I will be working on those. I'm working on the Pikmin 4 video. It's just going to take a while. I also want to start doing stuff on TikTok again, because I haven't put anything up since July. And I'm like, I really should keep uploading stuff, because I wasn't getting an insane amount of views, but I'm definitely getting more than I am here or on YouTube. So I'm like, I should keep pushing those, but... Because I still have all the Tears of the Kingdom stuff. Because I think we made it to, what, the second dungeon? So yeah, I really should do those. But we'll see. But yeah, so the Pikmin 3 video's up, you know, it's just a highlight of the stream. And yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'll cut out the Minecraft stuff. I probably won't. But we'll see. But yeah, this is definitely a new... you know, it's the middle of the season. Might as well do some new experimenting. You know. Ba 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 ba. I was... just to test out this VTuber thing, I kept doing the... ba 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 ba, just to kind of see how the mouth worked and everything. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. But I'm definitely going to have to do some experimenting. So yeah, that's where we're ending off today. We'll be back tomorrow with Spider-Man. So I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time. Peace.